Internet! Hello and welcome to this week's Koi Cubed. I am so happy you're here with us today. This week we're going to be talking about the Snyder Cut. We're going to be talking about Mr. and Mrs. Smith, which I am overjoyed to get into. I'm a big fan of the original, and now I'm going to be an even bigger fan of the Amazon show to come. Lots and lots of good stuff in the world of pop culture, not to mention streaming recs, comic recs, all that good jazz, so let's get into it. All apologies on the delay if you guys have been waiting for it live. Basically, Streamlabs wasn't interacting with me, so I had to log out and log back in, and here we are, chaos, cats and dogs, living together. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate you joining me on this slightly later show, in addition to the technical chaos of all of it. And later on the episode, we will be talking about WandaVision Episode 6, and we will be going into full spoilers for Episode 6, but I will give you lots and lots and lots of warning. Hopefully you've seen it at this point. It's been 4 very long days approaching the next episode, so hopefully you've seen it. If you have not, wait, all of Friday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, all of Monday, half of Tuesday, 4.5 days. We're closer to the next one than we were from the last one. That is great progress. All of that being said, I will give you lots and lots of warnings before we get into it. But first, let's get some news going, shall we? First up, in the world of pop culture and excitement, what would this show be if without talking about the Snyder Cut? The Snyder Cut is the little engine that could. I never thought we would see a fan rebellion for such a cause like the Snyder Cut. The loudest fans in the game, Snyder Cut, has been willed into existence by sheer force of will. It is actually insane that we're getting a full-on 4-hour movie back from the dead, but we are. And we are now about a month away. Today, as I film this, is February 16th. The Snyder Cut drops on March 18th. And the newest trailer is astounding. I liked the newest trailer quite a bit. I just went for a run, so sorry. Actually winded. Chaos this Tuesday. The new Snyder Cut trailer is everything that fans of the Snyder Cut trailer would want, and nothing else. And that's, I think, a pro and a con. I don't think it's going to entice people that aren't interested, but I do think it's going to wow everyone that's already invested. So it reached its target audience. It got its demographic excited. It's going to make all of the people that have been clamoring for this very excited. But if you weren't already in, I don't know if this would have brought you in. I've talked to a number of people that aren't that excited for the Snyder Cut, and this trailer did nothing for them. I'm excited for this experience, this insane 4-hour journey, so I was really into the trailer. I've watched it a number of times. I'm a big Darkseid fan. I'm a big Granny Goodness fan. Seeing Apocalypse in the 4:3 ratio, the scope of this world is going to be stunning. We waited for the black suit for a very long time, and now seeing it every time gives me a different little bit of joy, because it's a different angle, it's a different setting, it's a different, there's just a ness to that suit that I'm really excited about. So the actual plot of the trailer involved the death of Superman at the end of BVS, a slightly different take on that scene, and that sending out basically a message to the mother boxes that Superman's dead, Earth is fair game. So that makes Steppenwolf enact his plan, and we only got some of that in the original Justice League. We did get a Steppenwolf, but the story was so everywhere because I think the craziest thing about all this is Zack Snyder wanted to do 2 movies at 3.5 hours a pop. So we're talking 6 to 7 hours worth of story. They cut that into 2 hours, and it was 2 directors. So there was not much hope for the Justice League to succeed from the jump in that format. This 4-hour movie has the potential to at least cover a story. I feel like with the benefit of hindsight, Zack Snyder was able to find a different ending point. I think there's going to be a bit more closure for it. I think there's going to be a different animal, for lack of a better term, that comes out of this Snyder Cut than we would have ever gotten from the original idea of the Justice League, the Part 1 and Part 2 of the Justice League, certainly from the hodgepodge we got with the Whedon-Snyder Justice League. So this movie is going to complete at least a story. So we see the Steppenwolf stuff, but obviously a differently realized Steppenwolf. We see Darkseid. We're going to see a lot more, like I said, of Apocalypse and Granny Goodness. But we're also getting more of the actual League. There was an entire story arc with Willem Dafoe in Atlantis. We actually find out how the Trident comes into, Jason Momoa's take on Aquaman's possession. We get an entire Cyborg story where he's the heart of the film and he was barely in the Justice League that we all saw in theaters. One of my favorite characters from the lore is Iris West, and now we get Iris in this movie. Kiersey Clemons as Iris. I'm so excited. She was also in the trailer. We again get more of Clark and Lois. All of this is in the trailer, but just little sprinkles. But I don't know what it's like if you're not a comic book fan or a fan of this trajectory this movie has taken, what this trailer must have been like, how overwhelming it must have been, because there's just so much coming at you. But I think it was smart of Zack Snyder to not make a trailer for everyone. I think it was smart of him to make a trailer for the audience, because they're the ones fevering for this, they're the ones that have fought for this, and I think that it's going to be word of mouth and the grassroots campaign the Snyder Cut's already taken that are going to bring people in that weren't already. And those people are going to be just as feverish and excited to bring their friends in. So I think this trailer was for the right audience. I think it was very exciting. My favorite line in the trailer is, it's something to the effect of don't take on the bull. If you can't take down the bull, don't wave the red cape at it. And that is this amazing delivery by Alfred. And it's got so much plot in one line. There's not a lot of dialogue in this trailer, but that one line really just like, yes. It's also spoken over one of those stunning shots in the trailer, which is an absolutely comic book accurate shot of Henry Cavill's Superman. I really want a Man of Steel 2. I really want more Cavill as Superman. So if the Snyder Cut gives us that alone, then I'm so there. I'm so fully there. So we've got about a month, and I'm excited for it personally. But I do wonder what it was like for non-comic book fans, what that trailer felt like. Now, the big moment I'm only going to briefly talk about. The button on the trailer is always that like, yeah, that hook. And in this case, it was Jared Leto's Joker. I spoke last week about Jared Leto's Joker and how the look wasn't for me. Now that we've seen it in movement, it's still not for me. That said, this is the first time I've seen metamodernism go in this direction. Metamodernism is one of my favorite concepts. It's one of my favorite philosophies. It's like postmodernism. It's the idea of being ironically sincere or sincerely ironic. It's laughing at and with something simultaneously. Like Lord and Miller are exceptional metamodernists. They're able to reference references. They're able to know what they're referencing while also doing it. 21 Jump Street, 22 Jump Street. They're making fun of the time period while celebrating the time period. Lego Movie is a celebration while also a parody of some certain things. And metamodernism is why Deadpool works. It's why a lot of the comedy Into the Spider-Verse works. I don't personally, Coy, see the We Live in a Society line as the character of the Joker. And I know there are some schools of thought where a character is any interpretation, but I think that there needs to be, I love interpretations of characters. But if there's no parameters, then that's not the same character. You know, if Superman doesn't have a weakness to kryptonite, it's not really Superman. If Batman doesn't really care about redemption, it's not really Batman. If Batman isn't the vengeance, isn't the night, he's not the goddamn Batman. For me, We Live in a Society was kind of a joke about the Joker, but not actually something the Joker, he doesn't care enough to reference a meme. So I don't know if I love the idea of a meme about the Joker being spoken by the Joker, therefore making the meme canon. For me personally, I've got nothing against all the people that are excited. It was trending. Good for those people. I'm very excited for them. It's not my Joker, but I'm very in for this movie. I'm very excited. We are going to find out how that character translates long term. It's only going to be a few minutes, but we're going to find out how it translates into a Batman world. It's going to be great to see Ben Affleck and Jared Leto, since that's supposed to be his Joker interacting. That's going to be great. I'm looking forward to the Nightmare stuff. That actual line of dialogue doesn't have me sold, but I'm still 100% there midnight, March 18th. The second I can watch this thing, you know I'll be there. And maybe we'll do some special coverage. I don't know. We'll do something for the Snyder Cut. But that is my take on the trailer. Overall, very invested, very in, very excited. That last button wasn't for me, but the rest of the trailer overall was. So I'm in. All right. More news coming at you. I personally am a giant fan of... Oh, and actually, before we leave the world of Mr. Zack Snyder, he announced today he wants to make a faithful King Arthur story, like an Arthurian myth. I say faithful in quotes is because that story's not, like, there's no one story. That thing's been adapted so many times, there's no way to have it be a linear King Arthur story. So I'm not sure which Arthurian myth he's referring to as, like, the one, because I don't think there is a one, but I'm very excited to have that visual, that scope, that insane grandeur that is Zack Snyder do an Arthurian myth. I'm very excited to see what we get from I like Zack Snyder's visual style, and I think that if anyone can do an Arthurian myth and sell it, because they try often. I'm a giant fan of Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, but it didn't do well. If anyone can sell that, it's Guy Ritchie. I mean, it wasn't Guy Ritchie. It's Zack Snyder. So I'm really excited for Zack Snyder's King Arthur. I'm very excited to experience that. That being said, it's a very linear plot, so I think it's going to work. I think 300's great. I enjoy his Watchmen. I think it's going to be fun. Watchmen is not linear, but he just storyboarded. So yeah, time will tell. King Arthur? I think I'm in. King Arthur with Zack Snyder. All right, over to the world of Marvel, just a few quick things. These are all like smaller stories. Kevin Feige is continuing his fight to have Black Widow get a theatrical release. It does not look like it's coming to Disney+. If you watch this show, if this isn't your first time on the show, you know that is what I want. I want that thing to be in theaters. I don't care if it's in 2027. We are going to come up to the point where it does conflict with the Disney Plus shows and scheduling. It inevitably, these things tie in together, so at some point it will. Black Widow is a flashback. The Eternals takes place so far away and through thousands of years that I don't think those two. But, you know, there are scenes of characters that interplay. There's probably post-credit stuff. There is stuff that will actually be a problem. But for now, I'm hoping we're back in theaters in 2022, and I would much rather see Black Widow the right way. The day-and-date releases aren't working. Warner Brothers is hemorrhaging money. These movies aren't doing well. Nobody's making money. I think they should hold off on it, but that's just my take, but it's also Kevin Feige's take, and he's kind of a smart guy. Over to the world of Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel 2 added Velvet Buzzsaw's Zhao Ashton. The name is Z-A-W-E. I think it's pronounced Zhao. She is awesome in Velvet Buzzsaw. I'm one of like 3 people that enjoyed Velvet Buzzsaw. But I didn't see it on Netflix. I saw it in theaters because I went to the premiere. And at the premiere, that's like the best audience to see a movie with because they're invested. They get all the jokes. They're in. And it's a theater for a dark comedy. So I really enjoyed Velvet Buzzsaw. But I haven't rewatched it at home because no one else liked it. That being said, she's great in it no matter what, and I think this is going to be cool to have her in Captain Marvel too. There's no real announcement as to who she is. The idea is that she's a villain. I've heard lots and lots of rumors that the villain of Captain Marvel 2 is going to be Rogue, but then again, every single Marvel property people are trying to find the X-Men in, myself included. I've fallen into that. I keep being like, the X-Men are coming because I'm a huge X-Men fan, so I don't believe the rumors of Rogue in Captain Marvel 2 until we get further along. I do like the idea of introducing a mutant at a time, giving them some backstory. Rogue as a villain, then bringing her in is a great idea. Don't know how likely it is, but that is the rumor that's going around as we speak. Speaking of Marvel, Spike Lee said this week he is down to make a Marvel movie, and that is just delightful. I would love to see Spike Lee. I'd love to see Marvel have a Spike Lee joint. Now, Marvel is known for churning out movies that are pretty well developed. They bring on directors after the movie's pretty deeply into its way, so I don't know what that would look like with the freedom to let Spike Lee make a Spike Lee joint. That said, they let Taika, so they let James Gunn. There are exceptions to the industry that is Marvel films, and if anyone's deserved that, it's fucking Spike Lee, so I'd love to see a Spike Lee Marvel film. He said he's down. Unlikely, but I'm here for it. If it happens, let's do it. Over the world of DC television, I'm not usually big on paparazzi stuff. I'm not usually big on people's personal lives being public, but this is a public story, and I know the guy, so I'm really happy for him. Grant Gustin's having a baby. Grant Gustin's going to be a dad, and I'm so happy for Grant, and I'm really, it's so funny to just think about, because at this point we're like adults having kids on purpose. Good for him, man. I'm just stoked for him. So Grant Gustin's having a baby. Also in the world of DC television, Wonder Girl is not moving forward. Wonder Girl was supposed to have a show based on the new character Yara Flor, who's the future state Wonder Woman stuff, and as of now is not moving forward. So do not expect a Wonder Girl show coming at you anytime soon. It does not look like it's going to be a thing, which is a bummer. You know, to be honest, I think the new Superman trailer looks like the most cinematic thing the CW's ever made. I think they're heading in a really interesting direction. I think it's cool they're kind of doing what they're doing with their movies and doing different pieces of the universe. I think all of that's exciting, but it does not seem like Wonder Girl is going forward, so it is a bummer. Mr. Jason Ritchie in the live chat, dropping the Streamlab. Mr. Jason Ritchie saying, I can't watch live tonight, but I wanted to share a WandaVision prediction. What you got, Jason? The last commercial will be for a Thanos ophthalmology, and the slogan will be something like, you don't lose your vision. Oh, that's dark and lovely. Okay. I don't know how to say this word. Ophthalmology. That word. I'm assuming it's an eye doctor. I really can't say it. I tried legit and then it lost me. A Thanos eye doctor, and the slogan will be something like, so you don't lose your vision. So you don't lose your vision. Having trouble talking. It's excellent work, Jason Ritchie. I cheers to you, good sir. This is BCAA's Fruit Punch, so I'm less sore from my run. For those playing along at home, I'm not drinking. I've drank once a week for February, but I'm trying to drink less, and I'm not eating meat in February, and it is killing me. Jason, that is an exceptional idea. I am all about that. A Thanos eye doctor, so you don't lose your vision. Cheers to the chef. Also, we've recently had a surge of new followers. I've been doing a lot of TikTok and guesting on as many shows as I can. I'm going to start a stereo soon. I'm going to start a Clubhouse. Done all the apps, but I'm trying to bring people here. Thank you. Thank you to everyone new. Thank you to anyone that shared my stuff. Today, I'm out of sorts, so I apologize for any new viewer. Usually, I'm much more coherent, but thank you to everyone that's new to the show, new to the network. I appreciate the hell out of you. It's been a really cool surge to see the numbers go up lately. I appreciate the hell out of all of you. Let's keep it up. Over to the world of not comic book news. My other headliner today is Mr. and Mrs. Smith is a super slept on action comedy. I almost said buddy comedy, but it's like buddy comedy with sex. It is a sexy buddy comedy, and that is between Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt. It is a movie so sexy, it broke up Brad and Jen. It started the Brangelina. It started them having a whole bunch of kids and being like the couple. They unfortunately didn't last either, but that movie is sex on legs. And it's also wicked funny, and it's also well shot, and it's a good time. I feel like Mr. and Mrs. Smith doesn't get enough love. I love a good action comedy. It's my favorite world outside of comic book stuff. Buddy comedies are my jam. Buddy cop movies, yes please, sign me up. The cast for this, I was already excited, but like casually, I was like, how are you gonna top Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie? You can't top that. Oh, you can. You make it a show, you make it an Amazon series, Amazon pumps a ton of money into it, and you bring on Phoebe Waller-Bridge, and you bring on Donald Glover. Donald Glover and Phoebe Waller-Bridge teaming up for Mr. and Mrs. Smith? I know nothing else, and I'm in. I know nothing else, and if I didn't have Amazon, I'd have Amazon right now. I know nothing else, and I'd sign up for Amazon for that show. I have Amazon, even though it is a giant conglomerate company that doesn't pay taxes. They do have incredible content, so I'm not as chivalrous and noble as I'd like to be, because I have Amazon. But if I didn't, I would for Donald Glover in a second. If you're not watching Atlanta, I'm sorry. Your life is lesser for it. Watch Atlanta. Come back to me. Holy shit, this is going to be great. I'm so excited. Jake Yacovetta in the live chat. Jake Yacovetta says, this is fair. He says, well, you better get yourself in sorts before the tournament tonight. LOL, love you, Coy. I do need to, Jake Yacovetta. I am, in fact, wrapping the show, taking a shower, putting myself together, and then diving in tonight, dear viewers. I was going to plug this at the end of the show, but tonight, we are doing a movie fight speed round competition. Movie Fights is how many of you might know me. Movie Fights is a game I used to love very dearly that I am the speed round champion of, and we're doing it for charity tonight. The speed round is coming back for one night only for charity, and I think that is just amazing, and it is for Just Care LA. You can check out their Twitter, Just Rescue. Hold on, I want to make sure I get the Twitter right. I want to make sure I plug the right way to love on the company. Care Rescue LA, and then the @ is @ at Care Rescue LA. They are a very great nonprofit for LA, cats, dogs, animals, all sorts, and I love animals, and I'm very happy to be doing something for charity for animals. I'm stoked. That is tonight at 8 p.m. PST, so I'll have time to get my shit together, because Jake Yakoveta is right. I need to get my shit together. That's going to be tonight. I'm really excited to speed around. I got this. Care Rescue LA. Thank you. I was stuck in the word just. Care Rescue LA. Guys. What's my name? How do I words? These are the questions. Okay. More news coming at ya. Face Off. Another delightful action comedy. Even weirder than Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Rumor was we were getting a reboot of sorts. Xeno Hour is not going to be on the SJ channel. It is an unofficial movie fight. Click over to either my Twitter page or Mr. Jake Yakoveta's. It is going to be on a page that is linked in. I shared the link already earlier. They'll send you right over there. What the show is what you can there. Jake's on it, man. What the show has the contacts on the YouTube, and then my Twitter has it as well. Chaos. Face Off, we heard, was getting a reboot, and then that was really exciting for about 12 hours, and then the director of the reboot was like, no, let me sweeten the pot. It's a direct sequel. We're getting a direct sequel to Nicolas Cage and John Travolta's magnum opus, Face Off. Now the question is, do they switch faces again? Do they have 4 of them and there's more face switching? Is there a third party and there's 3 faces? What escalation can there be from Face Off? Is it faces off? Is it 2 face, 2 off? What do you do to up the Face Off game? Because that first movie is bananas. That first movie is like Nicolas Cage accepting that he was pure Nicolas Cage, but not falling into the $5 bin at Walmart. That is a perfect Nicolas Cage level of like credible but crazy. The line is Face Off. Where do you go from there? I'm very excited to find out. We are getting a sequel to Face Off, and I am all about it. All right, over the world of TV. I have been very vocal about the whole Chappelle madness, and Dave Chappelle basically got screwed out of his show by Comedy Central years ago when he didn't do the season of the show he signed up for. He admits that it was a mistake. He admits the contract he signed was dumb on his part, all of these things. But through the power of the internet and through the power of fans, people stopped watching his show on every streaming platform, and they just took it off streaming. Dave Chappelle had a meeting, met with Comedy Central, met with all these companies, got everything sorted, got paid for his show, and now the Chappelle Show, one of the, if not the, best sketch comedy show, for my money, of all time, is back on Netflix, it's back on Hulu, it's back on HBO, with Dave Chappelle's blessing. Watch Chappelle Show, give it your love, enjoy the comedy that changed comedies. Holy crap, I'm excited. Give me this. I love Chappelle Show. I think it is the thing that changed comedy into a version of what it is today. I think Dave Chappelle is an absolute genius. I agree with most of what he says, not all of what he says. There are plenty of things that all stand-ups say that I wouldn't be like, that's something I'd say, but that's why it's in the realm of stand-up. So everyone that hates some of the things he said in stand-up, don't come at me, I'm not him. But I'm a big Chappelle fan, so I'm very in for more Chappelle Show, which is what I hope comes from this if it does well. Time will tell. All right, in the world of comic books and Disney Plus, weird combo, but bear with me. Deadpool Day. We're getting a Deadpool Day to commemorate 30 years of the Merc with the Mouth. Deadpool is 30 years old. How weird is that? This guy is 30. It's a 30-year-old man. It's so weird to think that 91 was 30 years ago. God damn. So, to celebrate, Marvel has wrangled some of the best creators of Deadpool ever. Rob Liefeld, creator of Deadpool, will be in attendance, sharing stories, sharing merch, sharing the evolution of Deadpool. But along with him will be some of the best writers and artists to ever wield the Merc with the Mouth. Man, not speaking today. We got Rob Liefeld, we got Ed McGuinness, we got Joe Kelly, who I think is one of the best writers in comics, period, hard stop. Joe Kelly redefines characters he takes on. We've got Ed McGuinness, like I said, one of the best artists, I think, of all time, and when Joe Kelly and Ed McGuinness team up for Spider-Man Deadpool, angels get their wings. It is a great time. And Ed McGuinness should just be on everything. Big fan of that guy. We got Gail Simone, who is a genius, and she's also as good at Twitter as she is at writing. Gail Simone is a force of pure chaos and love, and she writes the hell out of Deadpool because he is a force of pure chaos and love. Gail Simone attending Deadpool Day. We've also got Fabian Vicenza, who is the OG writer back when we were birthed Deadpool, which is exciting to hear about his stories. We've got Jerry Duggan and Brian Posehn, who, when they team up, good God. Brian Posehn and Jerry Duggan's Deadpool run is, if you've never read Deadpool, great jumping on point. If you want to clear up all sorts of continuity, boom, Brian Posehn and Jerry Duggan. Jerry Duggan kept going for a long time, and it's actually the longest writer on Deadpool, and for good reason. He's a genius. So Jerry Duggan and the great Brian Posehn of stand-up comedy fame are teaming up for Deadpool Day to talk about their take on the Merc with the Mouth. We've also got Daniel Way, who kind of introduced the schizophrenia, multiple speech bubbles concept. And finally, Mike Hawthorne, who is one of my favorite Deadpool artists. He's a great cover artist. He's a great interiors artist. He makes, it's what I think of with Deadpool in the most traditional sense. Ed McGuinness is great for, the broad strokes, slightly manga influenced, bulbous, crazy. But Mike Hawthorne is just lean, mean, merc machine. I love those two artists, so I'm excited to both there for Deadpool Day. That is going to be February 25th. So Marvel Unlimited, if you're already a member, it's free. You can also get tickets for this event through Marvel Unlimited if you don't want to join Marvel Unlimited. It is a Deadpool Day. It is interviews. It is all sorts of great stuff. I'm not involved. I'm not like moderating or anything. I'm just excited for it. So I get no cut of this excitement. I'm just excited as a fan in this case. Call me, Marvel. I'm available February 25th. If you need me, I'll be there. I'll be wearing my white pants. Let's do it. All right, over the world of Disney Plus. Disney Plus announced so many records this week, and the statistics are staggering, but the numbers alone don't really... We're so early into streaming that numbers don't translate like they do at box office. So I've got some comparisons here, but there's also some context for the comparisons. Disney Plus reached 95 million subscribers 3 years earlier than expected. They didn't think that Disney Plus would hit 90 million until 2024. It's already past 95 million now. Now, a huge part of that was, COVID and us being trapped at home and all these things, but the lemonade out of these lemons is they are tracking to actually pass Netflix at its current state by 2026. Perspective. Netflix was the first. It is so much easier to walk a path when the brush has already been cut down. It is so much easier to, not be the force that guides the whole thing. Netflix was the pioneer. When you discover something, it's harder, it takes longer, you have to convince people. Netflix was sending out DVDs and then bringing people over to streaming. Nobody believed in streaming. It was a whole different animal. Netflix took 9 years to get to 90 million subscribers. So Disney did in 14 months what it took Netflix 9 years. But again, all that perspective is very important. It's a different animal to follow versus start. It's just staggering to think that Netflix is that big, but also Disney Plus is catching up that fast. They think it's going to pass Netflix by 2026. They're already halfway to where Netflix is today. I love Disney Plus's offerings. I think the Disney Plus shows are genius. Mandalorian got me back into Star Wars. WandaVision is inspired and amazing. I love having my entire childhood on there. Sometimes, not in February, but sometimes I get drunk and watch childhood classic shows. I got hammered and watched Brink. Man, that is a good time. Whiskey and Brink is a journey. Team Pup and Suds for life. So Disney Plus, great market, great IP. We're going to have stacks of shows. There's going to be a time when we're going to have multiple Marvel shows on at once. We're going to have Marvel shows on air while Marvel movies are in theaters. We're going to have Mandalorian and Boba Fett and all sorts of different shows stacking on top of each other. It's insane. So it's really impressive what they've been able to do so quickly, 14 months. I was one of the founders, so I have a 3-year carved out membership, and I'm honored. I think it's really cool to be part of something this historic, and I'm a big fan of what Disney Plus is doing. Speaking of Disney Plus, we got a poster for Cruella today. If you guys haven't seen the announcements, Emma Stone is playing Cruella. It was supposed to get a theatrical release. I don't know what's going to happen long term, but we're getting a trailer tomorrow for Cruella. I'm excited. Obviously, this is a 101 Dalmatians live action take, with Emma Stone as Cruella de Vil. I'm in. The photos they showed us at D23 were great, and I think Emma Stone's going to have a lot of fun with the role, so I am very excited. I see some live chat goodness. I'm going to dive into that, and then we are going to dive into some Schmodown stuff and then get into WandaVision. So, if any of you have not seen WandaVision, I will warn you one last time, but that is around the corner. Micah McCarsell, welcome. You said you're late? You're never late. You arrive exactly when you intend to, like a wizard. Welcome. Deadpool animated should be resurrected. I completely agree. MWJ, the biggest pop culture loss, I think, of my entire hosting career was losing Donald Glover's Deadpool. Obviously, you saw my excitement for Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Imagine Deadpool in the hands of Donald Glover, who is the internet. Because the internet is one of the best albums about an existential crisis in the 21st century period. I often feel like three people. I feel like who I am on the internet, who I am, and who I think I am. I feel like those three people are very similar, but there are differences. And because the internet captures that feeling between Childish Gambino, The Boy, and Donald Glover, and I love that album for that experience of that chaos, that's fucking Deadpool. He is who he actually is, who people perceive him as, and what he does. And I would love to see him handle that. The script he wrote as a fuck you, I guess I'm not doing the show, is some of the best Deadpool writing I've ever read. So if I ever get as successful as I'd like, I will fund that show myself. I will put the money forward to get Deadpool animated made. If I get to that level, mark my words, I'm producing that show. It's happening. All right. Gail is amazing. Joe Kelly is why Deadpool is famous. Yeah, I think Joe Kelly was a big push for that. I totally agree. Just floating through says, love Chappelle. Chappelle, Burr, and Ronnie Ching are his three favorite comedians. All exceptional. Great taste. Great taste that taste great together. All of them would be great together. Yeah, I got the words wrong about the charity because I'm a monster. All right, moving into Schmodown stuff. The Schmodown is kicking off this week with the big ol' Inner Geekdom match, and that takes off this weekend, but soon thereafter, you're getting some mercs. Now, all 5 of our matches have been announced, which is exciting. We're kicking off with Swift versus Amaru. Now, Jesse Swift has been training his ass off. Jesse Swift he's Bibbs level zealous, so prepare for a crazy Jesse the Jackal Swift. The next sentence, Kevin Smith. Things are percolating. We'll see what happens. I got some ideas. Got some potential competitors. Kevin and I have been scheming. Keep your eyes peeled on some Kevin Smith stuff. We've also got the championship match for Andrew DiMolanta versus Alex Damon. That's going to be insane. And the co-main event to that is Bibiani. And I gotta say, Bibiani taking on Oyama at the top of the year is, I think, the best thing for him, because I think it's going to put him in the right headspace to be a champion all year. He's not going to get ring rust. He's not going to be waiting. I think him taking on Oyama at the top and winning is going to really set a great bar for the year. I think it's going to be a great match, but I think it's Bibbs. All the matches we're kicking off the season with, I'm really excited about, but those are the very beginning, and we've got plans for each offensively and defensively, and we have lots of really cool stuff cooking, including me accidentally saying Smith instead of Swift. But you'll see. You'll see. All right, let's get into WandaVision. Let's talk some WandaVision, you lovelies. WandaVision is on its 6th episode of theoretically 9, but probably 10. I think there's going to be 10. And this one is stacked. It is a Christmas, god damn it, brain. It is a Halloween episode that takes place in the 2000s. Now, we assumed it was going to be 90s, but plenty of the indicators for the time period have it in 2000s. It is Malcolm in the Middle themed at the top, and Malcolm in the Middle was 2000, 2006, which is weird to think about because late 90s is just what things feel like until like 2003. Like that rollover decade is so weird. But yeah, that was a 2000 show, 2000 to 2006. Also, The Parent Trap and The Incredibles on the Billboard, those are both 2000s movies. I also love, just as a note, they were watching Night of the Living Dead on the screen while they were at the little fair situation, because Vision and Pietro are living dead. So that's very, like, genius writing. All of this, I think, is an intentional mislead. I personally think that is, and I could be wrong, I very much could be wrong, I do think that's Fox's Pietro's body, but he's being implanted with Disney's Pietro's memories as a mislead because they're fuzzy, they're inaccurate. He even said he got shot in the street like a chump, but he was saving kids. He wasn't like... It's too much misdirection. So I do think we're being misled. I hope it's Fox. I really hope this is the beginning of everything that is to come. I get them not doing it if they choose that way. I could see this being a Mephisto manipulation. I've been saying Mephisto from the jump. We haven't seen Dottie and Pietro in the same place at the same time. I still think Dottie's Pietro. It's still possible. I'm also thinking more and more it might be Nightmare, because the way they are using the dome is everyone when they break out of the dome or when they're a little away from Wanda's control is experiencing trauma and grief. They mentioned that a lot this episode, the trauma and grief, the ethics of what's happening. I think Wanda thinks she's doing the right thing by helping these people in her mind. She's appeasing them. She's trying to make their lives better. But that's like everyone that does things like that thinks they're doing it for the right reasons. In this case, she's not. These people want to get out. But I do think, like with Nightmare, who feeds off of fear, maybe either a Nightmare or a Mephisto or some character like that is feeding off the grief and the trauma of people in the dome. Maybe that's the point of all this. So someone is able to manipulate Wanda into kind of fueling this thing with grief and trauma, and therefore Nightmare or Mephisto would be great pulls. I love the line Demon Spawn because Mephisto spawns the twins in his own way. They're pieces of his soul in the children, so Demon Spawn is a direct thank you to the comic book fans. My favorite line maybe in the whole show was uttered in this episode. They're talking about Pietro, who is played by Evan Peters, and Aaron Taylor Johnson plays the other Pietro, and he says something about something being kick-ass, and then a fourth wall break, a beautiful piece of meta commentary is the great Lizzie Olsen saying, "Kick-ass? Oh my God, the amount my soul smiled, I didn't know I could be so happy with a single word." It was art. It was a decade of coincidence leading to this moment. It was perfect. Kick-ass. I can't even. The Agnes bait and switch is very intriguing. We saw her in a very different light this episode. Is she playing with us? Is she actually not Agatha Harkness because the name is so literal and direct? Is she in less control or more control than we think? I love that we have more questions than answers with Agnes after this week. That whole scene with her and Vision not knowing what the Avengers are. What does Vision remember up to? When did Vision start? It's just crazy, guys. Photon getting her powers from the dome is very interesting. I think she might have had some latent abilities, but I don't think this is how mutants start. A lot of the internet is sure this is how mutants begin. That would be a continuity disaster. Would it be everyone in the city is a mutant now? Would it be when the dome spreads out, some people have X genes? It negates the whole evolutionary aspect of mutants. There is a possibility of Wanda bringing in a multiverse, and one of those multiverses having people with the X gene that allows for the generational push, that allows for the activation of puberty, all the very essential things about mutants. I don't think Wanda's dome causes mutants. I think it possibly causes the Fantastic Four. I think the cosmic radiation, if that explodes out and someone's going to space, shit could happen. But I don't think this is a mutant call. But I do think Photon is altered by going in and out. And I think her leaving and coming back in is what's starting to mess with her genetics, because she seemed very reluctant to have more blood drawn at the beginning, like that was commonplace, but it does raise questions how weird her results were acting. So I do think Photon becomes Photon to the level that we're going to get her thanks to this show, which is going to be really interesting. I'm hopeful we see a full-on Photon. I'm hopeful we get to that in the next episode, but it could be as late as episode 8. But I'm really excited to see Monica go all the way, and obviously her mom, the call name Photon, it's going to be great, because I think that's going to be her solving a lot of the grief and trauma around her mother while embodying the name, which is what this show's about, grief and trauma, so I think that's pretty genius. Are they driving to Reed? That is the question. That is the question. I hope so. Man, oh man, how great would it be to see whoever Reed Richards is, John Krasinski, anyone that's Reed, I trust their casting. How great would it be if someone named Reed Richards opens the door at some point? Holy shit. It's very possible. Very possible. There's no parents in the commercial. The commercial is the most disturbing commercial to date. All of the... Do you remember the 2000s commercials? They were haunting and creepy. This one captured that while also being more unnerving because it's in the show WandaVision. I personally see this as a deal with the devil. All of the other commercials have been in the past. The Stark, the Strucker, all of them have been in the past. I don't think this commercial represents the future decay and rotting of her children with magic. I think it represents her making a deal with the devil, the shark, a Faustian deal with the devil, to supply people with their essence through magic. I think it's a past. I think she feels guilt about the deal she made, and that's what that commercial represents. Could be totally wrong, but I don't think that commercial represents the future, because none of the other ones have. So I think that would be an interesting take, but I personally think that the shark represents whatever Nightmare or Mephisto character we're about to meet in the coming episodes. Let's see, what else did I write down? Vision disassembled, blocking out all concepts of Viz, superhero reality is trauma of dying. Yeah, the whole disassembled thing is, we're pretty sure at this point that Sword was trying to weaponize Vision. And weaponizing him is what Wanda found. That was going to be the endgame end credit scene, but then got moved into Scarlet Watch. WandaVision. Scarlet Watch is what I call my commentary show and Coy-Cast, apologies. What Wanda was going to stumble upon was the catalyst for her being like, you know what, I can't take all this, it's too much grief, it's too much trauma, and that causes her to make the dome, is seeing Vision disassembled. When he was going through the dome, he didn't get dusted. That wasn't him dusting. He never got dusted. That was him disassembling. That was him resuming that state that he was left in. So that was really interesting to see. Also, how little he remembers is just fascinating. We'll see how that plays out in just a moment. But first, I see we got a stream super chat. Parrot character looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Thanks for being you," with hearts popping out of his eyes. Parrot character looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Thanks for being you," with a I don't know what that means, word nerd. I don't know what that means. Pair character, looking at himself in the mirror, saying, "Thanks for being you," with hearts popping out of his eyes. Explain, and I will happily comment when I know what that means, good sir. Super creepy. Did this happen? Did I miss a pair character? I don't know. I don't know. While you inform me what that means, I'm going to go to my next note, but I'm not leaving that behind. I think it's interesting that, look at the YouTube chat. Haha. YouTube chat. Okay. Let me go to the YouTube chat. I'm like, there's a mystery afoot. Oh! For people watching this later, there's a "thanks for being you" pair creepy emoji in the thing. I had no idea that. I was like, did I miss a detail in WandaVision? Did I miss a pair character? And I literally was just like, that me pausing at camera was me trying to rewind an entire 30-minute episode. Like, have I failed them? As a commentator and studier of details, there was a heart-eyed mirror pair character. I'd remember that, certainly. Word nerd, thank you. Thank you for that moment. I feel better that I didn't miss an entire character. Thank you for the Streamlab, and thank you for making me double check myself for what... The pair is Mephisto! Okay, you guys are lovely. Thank you. Don't say sorry. I needed that moment. It was amazing. This is good. Spidey has joined us, by the way. Everyone... Mephisto. No, he's too handsome. All right, back to my notes. That was pure chaos. Oh my god, I love that. Okay, I think the reason that we moved from the 2000s into the, from the 80s into the 2000s is we need to set up next week and the 2010s for a reason. Next week, 2010s, Vision is going to be more aware what's going on. Billy is very aware of the world he's living in. He's got his own reality warping powers. He's able to see outside the dome. He's able to catch Speedster. He's much more aware, and he's only going to get more aware as he ages and controls his powers. What I'm saying is a lot of characters are going to be able to navigate this weird world of Wanda. What better way to do that than with an Office, Parks and Rec, Modern Family type mockumentary camera-aware show? It's genius that we skipped a decade, so next episode is the 2010s when that mockumentary style was so popular. I think we're getting an Office-style show next week. I think the reason we skipped the 90s was so we could get there in time. I also think it'd be interesting if we go back to the 90s, like there's a glitch in the dome and we regress, even if it's for like 5 minutes. What if there's a bottle episode in the 90s? There's so many things they can do with all this, but 80s to 2010s in 2 episodes, very interesting, because we're accelerating, so we will see. That is the question. All right, next up, expansion. The expanding dome, one, stunning visuals. Seeing Vision being ripped apart was already stunning, but seeing the literal clowns and the circus she turns them into is fascinating. All of that being said, I do think that expansion means intervention. I think now other government entities are going to be aware of this, perhaps the Avengers themselves. There's going to be some sort of ramification. There's going to be something that brings in an outside source because of this expansion. That is what I'm curious about overall. Like, what's going to happen as a response to her expanding the dome? We are now into the 3rd act of the show. Whether or not it's 9 episodes or 10, we are into the 3rd act. So we are at episodes 7, 8, 9, or perhaps 7, 8, 9, and 10. Either way, I'm hearing they're long, and I'm hearing... Okay, so from a storytelling standpoint, I think there needs to be a 10th episode. I think we need at least 3 hours, hopefully 4 hours, of closure to wrap up the 3 hours of chaos we've had. That means I think that gap, there's a gap between Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision. There's a 1 week gap. They just announced a Avengers Assembled, like a behind the scenes thing. I think that's going to play after the 10th episode. I think I think, and this could be just hopes, I think that's a mislead. I think that is a, oh, we couldn't play it then, there's another thing coming. And then they do that really cool, like Entertainment Tonight plays a special behind the scenes episode after we've seen all this stuff. I personally think we're getting a 10th, and I think that the BTS is an addendum and it's a mislead. That's a great Kevin Feige move. It's also, they're reinventing TV so they can do shit like that. Michael McCarcel thinks that is what's going right there. That is the curious. Word Nerd says, I have a feeling there'll be no wrap-up for this series. Cliffhanger leading up to a movie. The movie would be Doctor Strange 2, but I think there needs to be some closure, and I think that we don't know how long we're going to wait until Doctor Strange 2 with the world right now, and the movie's not done. So I think there is going to be a bit of closure, but it's certainly not going to conclude everything. I think it's going to be, I think you're right. I think there will be a cliffhanger of sorts, but I don't think it's going to be like, well, tune in next year for Doctor Strange 2. Like, there needs to be some sort of closure or people are going to go insane. Like, we need to have, the show needs to end before the movie can start. It's just what level of finality that looks like is the question. Some of the craziest theories I've had that are probably not true, take all these with a giant grain of salt. The biggest grain you have, I don't even believe them. But what if the actions of Darcy and Wu and Monica in the sword base are also being manipulated by Wanda through her guilt? Like, her guilty conscience is also controlling. Because she learned, like, Darcy learned hacking pretty fast. Granted, she had 5 years, so she's developed skills. I'm not downplaying that, but things have been going at a quick click. Now, I get they need to do that for TV pacing, but it'd be an interesting thing to have her guilty conscience also manipulating stuff outside the dome as well, because she's controlling reality. Who knows what her powers stop at? They're not stopped at the dome. What if she's controlling things outside of there? Also, if the dome expanded that way too, beyond just expanding this way, if it's a perfect circle, what else did she collide and bring in? Is that going to tie into Inhumans? This is all taking place in Jersey. Kamala Khan and Jersey are peanut butter and jelly. I don't know if I want, again, like the X-Men thing, I don't want the dome to activate X genes because that negates the puberty aspect, that negates the world that hates and fears them. We need to earn that. We need to build up to that. If suddenly there's just mutants, then it's like, oh, I don't think that's not what I want personally. But what if that's a way that it triggers the Inhuman, kind of like the Mist? Like, what if that causes something that causes Kamala? What if that triggers something that leads to another trigger? That would be interesting. If it's the beginning of a domino, that's what I'm curious about. PZ, P-I-Z-Z-A, like pizza with an I, have characters from a series ever become part of another series along with their all counterparts in Marvel, a la Flashpoint? Would Marvel be going against tradition? Thanks, Coy. There have been characters in one series that land in another series, absolutely. The Thunderbolts are heroes and villains that pop in and out of other series constantly and get renamed and all of those things. But as far as a Flashpoint-like version of that, there is a lot going on in Elseworlds that actually translates into Marvel quite a bit. House of M is a great example. What we're talking about now, a lot of the characters get folded from Elseworlds into this continuity. So the answer to both of those is yes. Characters from other series do bring themselves over to other series. The Champions is a current title where we had another run of the Champions and it got canceled, but then we kind of brought it back and they've been updated a little bit and this, that, and the other. So that does happen all the time. Also, Ultimate Comics is the biggest example of what you're describing, where the Ultimate Universe collided with the regular universe in a giant event that literally had planets colliding and lots of death. And that led to like an incursion event where there was a great question of like, it's either our planet imploding and their planet imploding, or we destroy their planet. Like, what cost victory? And that was a fascinating ultimatum. Was the series, and it concluded the Ultimate Universe. So some characters from the Ultimate Universe came over, like Miles Morales, but a lot of characters didn't. And right now, it looks like they're going to be bringing the Ultimate Universe back. So the biggest thing comparing to Flashpoint would be Ultimate Marvel colliding with 616 Marvel, and some of the characters remaining and some of them not. I hope that answered your question. I like your name, Peasy, because I want pizza very badly. Vanko, we will see you very soon, good sir. All right, next up, that will conclude our WandaVision talk. If you guys have any questions at the end, I will try to scroll back through the live chat today. I want to see if you guys have any questions or theories, but first, let's do some comic recommendations, you lovelies. Also, this time seems to work better for people. I might move Koi Cube from 4 to 5. We typically, when we go late, have a better push of folks. So if 5 o'clock works better, leave a comment on the YouTube when we're done. Not in the chat, but like comment on this page. Let me know if the 5 PST works better for you guys. I'll move the show an hour if more people can attend, because right now our live is stronger than it typically is, so maybe an hour later works better for folk, and I can move that if more people can hang, because I like the live chat. It's good to see everybody. All right, comic books I recommend from last week. My top books, my favorite books that came out last week, February 10th, were Daredevil number 27. I mean, it's Chip Zdarsky right in Daredevil. Future State Dark Detective 3. Future State Superman Wonder Woman number 2. Really enjoyed that new title. Homesick Pilots number 3. Homesick Pilots is this great little punk book out of Image. Really recommend it. A new comic that I would not have discovered if not for a publicist friend of mine. One of my buddies is a publicist and he reps some comic creators. And he was like, hey, my buddy just did this indie book for Antarctic Press. I know you'll dig it. Check it out. And I was like, yes, I will always check out anything you recommend. He's got taste. I like this guy. And he recommended this book called Hot Valley Days and Cocaine Nights. I'm not usually a true crime guy, and this is a comic based on a true story, and it's a true crime comic, but it is such a good story, and it's so cool to see a true story translated into a comic book, to see a comic book that is about the whiskey, that's about Reseda, that's about LA, and during the insanity of the 80s and cocaine, tying it to rock stars that are real life, and all of this actually happening. It's a really good time. The art is great. The writing is really good. It's a very approachable book. Even if you don't like comics, you can pick it up. I really recommend it. So it's only a 3-issue miniseries. So issue 3 comes out in March. Issues 1 and 2 are out right now. It's from Antarctic Press, and it's called Hot Valley Days, Cocaine Nights. I read all 3 this week. I got an advanced copy. Highly recommend it. I love how it concludes. I love the whole arc. Highly recommend it. Check it out. Antarctic Press, Hot Valley Days, Cocaine Nights. Also, Radiant Black is a new indie title from Image that reminds me of like the symbiote suit. It's kind of a fun take on like a space tech suit. It's only 1 issue in, so I can't tell where it's going yet, but it is interesting so far. Rorschach number 5. I wasn't sure about Tom King's Rorschach at the top of the run. I'm all in now. Big fan of where he's taken this character. Big fan of him connecting the 2 worlds of the classic comic book and the new show. Loving it. Big fan. Then we've also got Sword number 3. I never thought I'd love a sword comic, but I do. Taskmaster number 3. Jed MacKay is one of my new favorite writers. Jed MacKay. He fixed Black Cat for me. Black Cat is one of my favorite characters that never got the writing she deserved in modern times. The Black Cat title is so consistently good, and now he's making Taskmaster awesome. Much love. Much love for that title and that writer. Wolverine Black and White and Blood number 2, and X-Force 17. X-Force 17 is a very Quentin Quire-based book, and it's a real good time. Big fan of it. The books I recommend you pick up tomorrow at your local comic book store. These are the books I'm going to be reading this week. There's a lot more of them. I pretty much do my top books for last week, and then all of my books that I'm checking out for this week for new viewers. I've already read this one because it's a DC book, so it's already out. Batman Catwoman #3 is exceptional. Batman Catwoman is one of my new favorite titles. I am losing my goddamn mind. Loving it. Holy shit. The art, stunning. The writing, impeccable. Batman Catwoman, one of my favorite of all time Batman arcs. Loving it. It's only on issue 3. Catch up. You'll thank me later. So that's out today. Continuing on. Black Widow #5, Cable #8, Captain America 27, Champions #4, Excellence #10, Family Tree #11, Future State Catwoman #2, Future State Immortal Wonder Woman #2, Future State Nightwing #2, Future State Shazam #2, Future State Superman Worlds at War #2, and Future State The Next Batman #4. Now, all of these Future State books are Elseworlds, so you can jump on issue 1 having not read anything recently. So it's a really good jumping on point for DC fans to actually just know what's going on right now. We've also got Guardians of the Galaxy 11, Immortal Hulk Flatline 1, Iron Fist, Heart of the Dragon #2, Iron Man #6. This is the conclusion of the first arc of one of the best Iron Man titles in a decade. I love this Iron Man book. It is so impressive. Check it out. It's only on issue 6. King in Black #4, Donny Cates. Come on, what do you want? Donny Cates, genius. His King in Black is a giant event. It actually feels like an event. It's actually worthy of taking over other titles. Donny Cates is a genius. Check out his King in Black. Marauders #18, Miles Morales Spider-Man 23, MODOK Head Games from Patton Oswalt #3, Savage Avengers 18, Sensational Wonder Woman 7, Spider-Woman 9, Stillwater 6, Thor #12, another Donny Cates book. Stillwater is a Chip Zdarsky book. You know those are my boys. Check both of those books out. This is a big one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin #2 is very exciting. The first issue blew me away. I love Turtles, and it's very unapproachable with so many series. This one is not. You can just dive in. Last Ronin, excellent stuff. And finally, X-Men Legends #1. Now, I am a big fan of all these books coming out. I am very hopeful. Before I get into my streaming recs, I see some questions because I said, hey, let me know what you guys want to talk about. Let's see what you guys got before we wrap it up. Did I hear about the Batman 89 continuation announced today? I did. I was actually going to talk about that before we talked about the streaming recs. Thank you. I did, and the Superman 78, is that the right year? Christopher Reeve, Superman, and Batman Michael Keaton are getting continuations in comics. I usually do not like that because it's sacred to a point, and the crossing over of mediums is really tricky because I have a hard time seeing someone draw Christopher Reeve and feel like that's the same Christopher Reeve. But since we don't have Christopher Reeve anymore, and since Michael Keaton is coming back, I feel like this is kind of a good time for it. So I'm going to be checking them out. I think it's a cool thing. I think it's a great way to get new eyeballs on DC books, and I'm there. So I'll be checking them out. I'll be reviewing them here and letting you know what I think of them. Let's see. Had I seen the pilot order for Naomi on CW? I did. I was waiting to talk about it until it became like series order. Pilots fall apart all the time. I'm like superstitious about this one because I don't know if you guys watch my show Comic Book Shopping. I had to stop giving out Naomi on the show because it was one that I gave out, like I recommended too often. Naomi is so good. It's a Brian Michael Bendis book. It's some of the most stunning art in comic books. It's incredible. Juan Campbell, I believe is his name, the artist on sorry, I have so many comic artists bouncing around my head at all times. Naomi artist. I want to get that right because that is a worthy artist. Big fan of that book all around. It's going to take me just a second, so I'm going to rant about Naomi while we go. Naomi is basically a new character in the DC universe that is based around Superman but has nothing directly to do with Superman. Something happens to her during an event that causes her to basically... Jamal Campbell. There we go. Thank you, Jamal Campbell. Jamal Campbell is the artist on Naomi, but Naomi is a character you don't need to know any other comics, which is cool. Like, she's an outsider to comic books in her own way without it being like a fourth wall breaking meta thing. And it's a great new character, highly recommend, and now she's got a pilot order at the CW. It's a comic book character I've recommended to dozens of people. Highly recommend it to you. Check out Naomi before the show. And those comics might be worth something. If you're one of those people that collects, pick up the comics because they're about to be, if the pilot goes well, about to be worth more because it's going to be a show very soon. Also, just buy comics in print. It's fantastic. You own something, it's yours, and it doesn't have to improve in value, but if it does, that's just a win-win. You already own it. It only gets better from there. Streaming recommendations before I leave you lovelies. It is halfway through the month, so there's not a lot. Usually streaming services bring in content at the top of the month, and then it kind of dwindles as we go, but there's a few things I'm excited about. Nothing new at Netflix, but Amazon on the 18th, which is in, I believe, 2 days, is getting Sonic the Hedgehog. I missed it in theaters. I did not have $20 to pay for Sonic on POV, so I have not seen Sonic the Hedgehog, and I'm so excited for James Marsden in a Sonic movie. It's gonna be weird. I'm thrilled. That comes out on the 18th over at Amazon. Hulu is getting Logan Lucky tomorrow, which is a fantastic film, the return of Soderbergh after a imposed retirement. Nomadland on the 19th. I hear this movie is one of the best of 2020. I missed it. It was like an indie circuit joint. I'm so excited to see it. Nomadland on the 19th. And then Dredd. If you've never seen Dredd, Carl Urban's Dredd is coming to Hulu on the 23rd. Disney Plus is getting WandaVision episode 7 on Friday, the 19th. I am overjoyed and impatient. Give me this show, but also thank you for making me wait so I can think about all the mysteries. Finally, HBO Max. This is the big one. This is why this section exists. As of yesterday, the 15th of February, The Batman in its entirety, that series. You already could watch Batman the Animated Series, arguably one of the best translations of Batman of all time. You could already watch Batman Beyond, another of the best translations of Batman of all time. But now, as of yesterday, Static Shock. Static Shock in its entirety is on HBO Max. If you've never seen Static Shock, fix your life. If you have, revisit and have a great time. Static Shock is one of the best cartoons, period. Enjoy. I'm so excited. And finally, Argo. Argo on the 20th. Argo's a great film. Best Picture. Check it out. Ben Affleck, also a Batman, made Argo. Check out Argo. That is available on HBO Max on the 20th. That, my lovelies, I do believe is everything. Maddie Gunner loves the King in Black stuff. Dominic the writer. Hey, Coy, make my way towards the Christopher Reeve Superman films this week for the first time. Watch Superman 3 today, 4 tomorrow. Really like Reeve in the role. Rest in peace. Dude, good man. Enjoy that journey. I remember you're watching a bunch of the classic superhero films because you weren't like in that zone. So Dominic, hell yes. Enjoy, man. That is a hell of a time. Scott Welsh says, while I eagerly await WandaVision on Friday, next Tuesday we get Star Plus in Canada. Can't wait for all that sweet, sweet content. There is so much stuff on TV. I'm watching The Good Place right now for the first time. I just started season 3. I've never seen The Good Place. I am loving the journey. I'm also on season 1 of Warrior. If you guys are curious what I'm watching, I try to do 1 half hour and 1 hour at a time. That way, depending on how much time I have free, I can pick which of the shows without having to scroll and pop around. But I always watch This Is Us. So This Is Us, if there's an episode, I'm there. My ongoing shows are The Good Place and Warrior, which I'm digging very, very much. I think that is going to do it, you lovely people. I will see you on next week. We're doing a watch-along of Jurassic Park, which I'm very excited about. Mr. Michael McCarcel and I need to figure out a time. We're doing Jurassic Park next week. That's going to be the first of the watch-alongs that I know, but only as a fan. Like, I don't know a lot of, like, comic booky details, so I'm excited to watch something that like we can all kind of chime in on. So I'll be reading the live chat more. So I'll announce that one earlier and try to like, you know, build up the audience. So we're gonna be doing Jurassic Park next week at some point for watch-along patron Mr. Michael McCarcel. And what else is there? Schmodown stuff, we already talked about it. Coycast every Wednesday, new one drops tomorrow. It was a lot of fun. TikTok, I've got one of those now. There's a TikTok that I'm making, and it's 1-minute comic explainer videos, so like favorite moments in the SnyderCut trailer. I'm going to be doing comic book recommendations over there. There's me talking about WandaVision theories, so my TikTok is like kind of like info dumps, which I'm enjoying. And Instagram, I'm trying to grow. So if you guys don't follow me on Instagram, I'm like 700 people away from the fucking swipe up. I don't care about the number as much as the power. I want 10,000 so I can fucking swipe up so I can share links with you lovelies. I can't share links, so I think that's going to be it. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Follow me here. Follow me everywhere, except in my city, because that'd be creepy, and coronavirus. You can follow me when we're safe, just right now, don't be close to people. All right, I love you folks. I will see you tonight for the charity event we are doing for animals. I'm very excited to speed fight for a good cause, but first I'm gonna rest this mouth because it's not functioning well and my brain is fried, and I will see you guys very, very soon. You're amazing people. Koi Pond, I appreciate you. Still, 1 troll ever, 1 mute in the history of the Koi Pond, and they didn't come back this week because you guys are better than that. I appreciate you. Thanks for being awesome. We will see you tonight for the charity event and next week latest. Bye guys.